On the left is our V280, and on the right is our autonomous pod transport, both of which have capabilities to do search and rescue missions. And as you might know, we're always trying to tailor our competitions around real life scenarios. And that's certainly the case for this year's search and rescue competition. So going into the agenda, I'll quickly go through these first 3 bullet points, and then I'm going to hand it off to Dennis and Casey for the bulk of our time together on the details of phase 1. So Andy already mentioned the 48 teams that we have. We're sure excited for this level of participation. The next chart, I wanted to just talk about mentors. So we have assigned mentors to quite a number of the Dallas-Fort Worth schools shown here. Hopefully you've connected. If not, try to make that connection early next week. We've got a number of schools that are yet to be assigned in this area, but I'll also say to all of the schools outside of the DFW area and outside of Texas, if you have mentors, please register them in the robotevents.com site, and that way they will have access to the team meetings that we'll be having during the next 5 weeks. All right, so a little bit about our partnerships. Obviously, Bell is the founding sponsor of the VRC. We're really excited for the connection we made with the REC Foundation starting this year and looking forward to many years to come. They have been just fantastic to work with, doing all the logistics and registrations, and they'll be doing the operations in the fall. Also, really cool to be linked up with Drone Blocks. They've got a very unique business model to use block coding with drones, and we're excited about building that into future competitions. For this year, they have created the manuals for both the assembly and flight. And then we're very grateful for these sponsors that have been an integral part of building this competition. So this is one of my favorite charts. 75 years ago, our founding father, Larry Bell, donated a Model 47 helicopter to what would have been a CTE high school because he knew the power of STEM back before STEM was ever an acronym. Now, 75 years later, our CEO wants to follow in his footsteps, and he is very supportive of what we are doing. You're going to get this letter inside your kit when you open it later on today. So a little bit on the purpose. We've had these tenets from the beginning. I won't go through all of them, but I would just emphasize that the design experience is the most critical part of this competition. For you as a high school student to be able to go through a complete design cycle of conceptualizing something, designing it, building it, flying it, crashing it, redesigning it, re-flight testing. That's the cycle of learning that you want to get as early as you can, and that will really play out well in your career if you've learned that at an early age. All the other things here listed are integrated into our competition. Of course, fun is a big part of it, and we're excited to see the fun you're going to have with this competition. And then really for the long term, we really see this as a pipeline for our future workforce. And we are hoping that there's going to be a whole bunch of you that 4, 5, 6 years later, we're going to see you at Bell as one of our employees. So phase 1, just want to make sure you understand it's not a competition for this phase 1. There's no scoring. It's really about getting you ready for phase 2. There's so much content in phase 2 that we wanted to make sure that we could get it all done. We broke it out into some of the parts into phase 1. So we'll tell you more details on that, but really the effort is to just prep everything for phase 2. At the end of the next 5 weeks, you'll be crating and locking up your content into the bin that you got it in, and we'll set it up for the summer break, and then you'll be breaking it out again on September 25th. So the primary goal for phase 1 is just to basically build up the drone kit that you have. It's the basic kit. Then to move on, be great for you to build up the peripheral computer which is what activates the accessories, the servos and the LEDs. You'll learn more about that later. We call it an overachiever goal. We'd like for you to get into some of the content that is going to be used for autonomous flight in phase 2, so you can start to prepare for that. And then lastly, we have a 3D printing project, which we want all of the team members to help do the design and build of the propeller guards and the LED halo. But we also created a senior design project because we know that seniors kind of get a raw deal. They won't be around for the fall competition, but we want you to have a significant task to take on and some credit to get for that. So more to come on that just a little bit later on. All right, so the other thing, we know there's a whole range of capabilities across all of the teams that are participating. Some of you might have had a lot of experience with drones and flying them and assembling them. Other teams we know have never even touched a drone, and we're excited about all of you being part of this. We're going to make sure you succeed whatever level you're at. So we're going to have some training videos that we'll provide. Some are related to the build of the drone. Others are related to how you interface with us on the Microsoft Teams platform. And then GitHub is a place where you will be using that when we get into the coding aspects. So to help you along the way, we are having these Ask an Engineer sessions over each of the Mondays on these dates shown. We're going to do that at 4:00 p.m. Central Time. And that's where you're really going to be able to just engage with engineers who can answer your questions about any topics that have come up during the week. So let's talk a little bit about safety. So the vertical robotics competition has always been and always will be an indoor event. We do all the competitions inside of netted courts because we want the ultimate safety for this competition. This is a layout that we had back in 2019, the last competition we had. The insides will be totally different for this competition, but you can at least see the netted courts that we will be using. And then to carry on that safety environment, what we have done is all of you should have received this netted tent, which you will use for all of your flight testing. We want to make sure that everybody's that area, the netted area, when you're flying, and that's just to make sure that we don't have any incidents with a drone going rogue and having anybody get injured. It's a pretty big, good-sized drone, so we feel very strong about making sure that you're flying inside of a netted area. Secondly, battery safety is always critical for anything drone related, so disconnect your battery when you're outside of the netted tent. And then if you do have to do bench testing, go ahead and remove the prop rotors so you don't have any issues if something went awry, and we don't want that drone flying off when you've got it outside the netted area. Lastly, flight test limitations. We don't want it ever flown outdoors. We don't want it flown outside of the school premises, and we ask that you always have a teacher or mentor present during your flight testing. All right, then as Andy mentioned, I wanted to give you just a little bit of a preview of what Search Phase 2 is going to be for the Search and Rescue Challenge. That's really what you're working toward. On September 25th, we will have a competition reveal. It is a really cool scenario where it's going to simulate mountain hikers that have been stranded after an earthquake disaster. We will have an in-person event for that reveal. Hopefully everybody's going to be back in person by that time. For those schools that are outside of the state, we'll have a live feed for you, and there will be a full-up animation video that will reveal just what that competition looks like. A few more specifics are laid out here. So the cool thing is you're going to be getting more content. Ground-based robots will be shipped to you before September 25th. Those will be interfacing with the drone. You're going to have a lot to do on modifying the basic drone kit to where you add accessories for the search and rescue mission. You're going to have a lot more content that's used to be able to create autonomous flight. And again, we'll have many help sessions to step you through that in the fall. competition events are in Austin, the first one November 6th, then we'll have a back-to-back Friday, Saturday at the University of Texas in Arlington, and then a championship round, yet to be determined the location, but that'll be on December 4th. All right, so I'm going to hand it off to Dennis and Casey for the core of what we're going to go through. They are, as we said, Drone Blocks. Dennis Baldwin is the founder of Drone Blocks. He's put a whole lot of work into this assembly and flight manual along with Casey Hanner. So they'll be stepping you through those details. We're going to have a Q&A now. We'll break for that. And then after that, I will be revealing the lock code so that you can open up your kit and follow along as Dennis and Casey go through the manual. For now, though, let's break for a Q&A.
All right, thank you, Ron. It looks like we have a few hands raised. I'm going to go with Azel ISD first.